and hi. So today we are going to present for HTF661 Food Service Yield Management. Our title for today's presentation is Chapter 1 Introduction to Yield Management and Chapter 2 Customer Knowledge and Customer Behavior. But first, before we started with the presentation, let me introduce our group member. My name is Fatina Bila binti Zainuddin and the other members are Nur Shamira binti Muhammad Yusof, Nur Fitria binti Wahi Akbar and Nur Najwa binti Muhammad Osman. Chapter 1 Introduction to Yield Management. Let's start our presentation with a definition of yield management. What is yield management? Yield management, or the other name is a revenue management, is a system that attempts to understand, anticipate, and then react to consumer behavior in order to maximize profit or revenue. A yield management, in a simple definition, is selling the right product to the right customer in the right time and with the right price. So now, let's moving on to the next slide. How does yield management work? A yield management system need to have an understanding of what's happening before and what is happening right now. They can use external information such as statistical data of events such as public holiday, a competitor price information, or a consumer buying pattern. The yield management system will periodically review transactions that have occurred between the consumer and the company. By doing this, a company have a better understanding on what is the consumer needs and demand. The process of yield management helps an organization to adjust its price so that they can meet the total demand and characteristic of its market. Next, the purpose of business. What is the purpose of business? The purpose of business is to get and keep a customer. Without a customer, even with a lot of engineer, clever financing, or operation expertise, they can keep a company going. Customer is the reason why the company keep going. And now, let's moving on to the next slide on how to create a customer. First, you need to start even before they are your customer. In order to do this, you need to know who your ideal customer are. If you want to give them what they want the most, you need to find out what it is. You need to set a clear profile on how to understand what is your customer wants and what is your customer are. So, your job is to understand the mind of your customer truly as possible and to deliver what they want and desire the most. The second one is manage customer expectation. You can manage customer expectation by find out what customer expect as soon as possible. You can talk to them and ask open-end questions during the earliest conversation and listen to your customer what is their perception. You can doing this by conducting a survey. Other than that, you can also be true and be honest before the purchase regarding all even the moderately information. For example, you can be honest to your customer about the time where you can deliver the item so that the customer doesn't wait for too long. Next, practice active listening and follow through. Customer engagement will improve customer loyalty. Customers are the lifeblood of any business. If you want your business to grow, you need to listen to any input of your customer and the customer feedback. You can follow through by improving your customer satisfaction and service quality. Actively listening to your customer will make customer feel valued and appreciated. Treat a customer like a value partner with two-way communication. What do your customer really want? You never know if you don't ask. In everything you do related to your business, you need to make sure that your customer feel like a value partner. You can do this by doing a two-way communication. You can do this by asking a question to get a customer feedback and take a customer feedback received seriously. By doing this, you can help maintaining your customer satisfaction and build a customer loyalty.
What can we do to keep the customer? First is to reward the customer. By rewarding them, such as give them a voucher, free gift, we can keep them to keep coming to our store. Second is communications. Communication is, for example, we give good communications with our customer, being friendly with them and try to persuade them in buying the product. Third is loyalty program. For example, we try to persuade them to join the member card. Fourth is shower them with kindness. For example, show them your kindness in answering or while you giving them a service. The fifth one is have a great attitude. For example, when your customer asking you about the certain product, try to answer them with a great attitude. And the last one is reciprocity. What is the meaning by reciprocity? Reciprocity is a practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefits. For example, when you give your customer something that they might value, you will get the benefit from it. What is the purpose of yield management? First, it is to achieve maximum profit. Second, is to allocate the right type of capacity. And lastly, pricing and selling strategy. Where do we use yield management? It is usually used in airline services. It is used for airline services to increase competitive advantage and increasing revenue. Second, it's concerned with selling the right seat to the right customer. And lastly, is to minimize yield. Okay, what is revenue management? Revenue management tend to predict consumer behavior. This is because we never know what is our consumer behavior. Revenue management helps us to predict the consumer behavior and what they will act. Next is optimize product availability and price to maximize revenue growth. And lastly, selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. Next is definitions of revenue management. What is the element in revenue management? Revenue means an item or source of income, while management means skillful in managing. Also is to specify the capacity of consumer and also profit. Next is supply. In revenue management, we also manage the supply that the consumer. Lastly is consider demand, which is defined as the amount of goods or service that a purchaser is willing and able to buy. Lastly is discipline and areas of concentrations. First is finance. It is important concept to understand what are the future and current value of money in our global monetary policies. Second is economics, which is a concept that covered include our market segmentations, market forecasting, cost and also scarcities. And the third one is marketing, which as the mean includes the 4 P's in marketing, which is product, price, place and also promotions. And lastly is psychology. It is important to understand what motivates people to act upon their impulse. For example, in choosing a brand, they choose there's two brands, which is brand A and brand B, and what price will they switch brands for?
Chapter 2, Customer Knowledge and Customer Behavior. What is customer behavior? Customer behavior is referred to understanding or study of how individuals, groups, customers or organizations select, use, buy, and dispose goods and services to fulfill their needs, wants, and aims. In other definition, according to Loden and Bita, the consumer behaviors is a process and physical activity that individuals engage when evaluating, acquiring, using, and dispose goods and services. There are 6 factors that influencing the consumer's buying process, which are social influences, cultural influences, psychological influences, situational influences, marketing, and personal influences. Social influences. Social influences is associated with other people either through direct or indirect effect. Direct effect is a direct communication between the individuals and other members of society. Meanwhile, indirect effect influence of a society on an individual's basic values and attitudes. The social influences is breakdown into 3 factors, which are family, reference group, roles, and status. Family plays an important role in shaping the buying behavior of a person. In example, a person develops preferences from his childhood by watching the family buy a product and continue to buy the same product when they grow. Besides that, reference group. Generally, reference group is all the people in the reference group have common buying behavior and influence each other. Last but not least, roles and status. Roles and status is a person that is influenced by the role that he holds in the society. In example, if a person is in a high position, his buying behavior will be influenced largely by his status. Secondly, the cultural influences. The cultural influences is a group of people who are associated with a set of values and ideology that belong to a particular community. The cultural influences is breakdown into 3 factors, which are culture, subculture, and social class. Culture. The cultural factors include the basic values, needs, wants, preferences, perception, and behaviors that are observed and learned by a consumer. Meanwhile, the subculture exists within a cultural group. These subcultural groups share the same set of beliefs and values. These subcultures by itself form a customer segment. Social class. Each and every society across the globe has form of social class. The social class is just not determined by the income, but also the other factors such as occupation, family background, education, and location. Social class is important to predict the consumer behavior. Thirdly is psychological influences. The human psychology is a major determinant of consumer behavior. There are some important factors that including the motivation, perception, learning, attitudes, and belief. Motivation. Motivation is measured by the Maslow hierarchy, which is including the self-actualization needs, esteem needs, social needs, safety needs, and psychological needs. This is because when a person is motivated enough, it influences the buying behavior of the person. Hence, basic needs and security needs have the power to motivate a consumer to buy products and services. Next, perception. Consumer perception is a major factor that influences the consumer behavior. The customer perception is a process where a customer collects information about a product and interprets the information to make a meaningful image about a particular product. In the other words, it can be simply defined as product involvement. In addition, learning. Learning is when a person buys a product, he or she gets to learn something more about the product. A consumer's learning depends on skills and knowledge. While a skill can be gained through practice, knowledge can be acquired only through an experience. In the other word, can simply defined as product knowledge. There are two types of learning, which are conditional and cognitive. Conditional learning is the customer is exposed to a situation repeatedly, thereby making a consumer to develop to respond to it. Meanwhile, in cognitive learning, the consumer will apply his knowledge and skill to find satisfaction and a solution from a product that he buys. Attitudes and belief. This attitude plays a significant role in defining the brand image of a product. Hence, the marketers try hard to understand the attitude of a consumer to design their marketing campaign or strategy. Next, the other factor that influences the customer's buying process is situational influences. The situational influences is breakdown into three factors, which are location, physical factors, and crowding. The physical factors is the most readily apparent features of a situation. The physical factors that firms can control, such as the layout of a store, music play at stores, the lighting, temperature, and even the smells you experience. A research shows that strategic fragrancing results in customers staying in stores longer, buying more, and leaving with better impressions of the quality of stores, services, and product. Crowding is another situational factor. In some studies have shown that consumers feel better about retailers who attempt to prevent overcrowding in their stores. However, other studies have shown that to a certain extent, crowding can have a positive impact on a person's buying experience. This phenomenon is often referred to as herd behavior, according to Gomer and Leaf 2005. Next, the marketing influence. The marketing influence is based on four components in marketing mix, which are product, price, place, and promotion. The consumers consider various things like the characteristic of the product, price change, availability of the product at the required location, and others. Last but not least, the personal influences is also one of the factors that influencing the consumer's buying process. The personal influences contain four factors, which are age, income, occupation, and lifestyle. Age. Age is a major factor that influence the buying behavior. The buying choices of young generation differ from the middle-aged person. In example, the young generation will be more interested in buying a colorful clothes and beauty products. Meanwhile, the middle-aged person are focused on house, property, and vehicles for the family. Next, income. Income has the ability to influence the buying behavior of a person. The higher the income, give the higher purchasing power to consumer. In example, when a consumer has higher disposable income, it gives more opportunity for the consumer to spend a luxurious products. Occupation. A person tends to buy things that are appropriate to his or her profession. In example, a doctor would buy clothes according to his profession, while a professor will have a different buying pattern. Lastly, lifestyle. The lifestyle is an attitude in a way in which an individual stays in a society. The buying behavior is highly influenced by the lifestyle of a consumer. In example, when the consumer leads a healthy lifestyle, the products he buys will relate to healthy stuff or alternative rather than junk food.
What is consumer decision making? There are three types of consumer decision making. First, extensive decision making. Second, limited decision making. And lastly, routine decision making. Extensive decision making. It is highly involved consumer decision whether purchase or not purchase a product. It requires a lot of time where that research are needed before decide to purchase that product. Usually, the products are expensive. For example, automobile and electronic appliances. Limited decision making. It is little involved in consumer decision and not require in-depth research. However, customer will take little time before purchase and their decision are based on logical inferences. Limited decision making are mid-cost products and semi-frequent purchases. For example, is clothes. Routine decision making. It is little search effort where include frequent purchases from a familiar product or brand. Usually it is low-cost product. For example, groceries item, shampoo and toothpaste. This is the process of consumer decision making. There are 5 elements in consumer decision making. First is need recognition. Second is alternative search. Third is alternative evaluation. Then purchase decision. And lastly is post-purchase evaluation. So, we will go one by one for each element in consumer decision making. Need recognition is the customer will recognize of needs and wants through internally and externally. Once the customer recognizes a wants, they need to gather information to understand how they can fulfill that wants, which leads to step 2. Next is alternative search, is how they gather the information needed on that particular product by internet sources, group sources, marketing sources, experiential sources, maybe from feedback from others, whether the product is good or not, and others. From this search of information, It enhances confidence to buy that particular product and avoid from disappointed feeling. Then, alternative evolution is the buyer has their own criteria for what they want in a product. This is due to number of information on several brands. Quality, size, and color are set of attribute for each brand. This attribute is relevant to the customer where it will intended to buy. After alternative evolution, the customer will go to the next element, which is purchase decision. Purchase decision is where they are actually make an actual purchase after gather all information from others' feedback and make the decision to buy that product. Finally is post-purchase evaluation. It is reflect on the purchase they made. Cognitive dissonance and disconfirmation paradigm will occur for every customer where cognitive dissonance will has anxiety after purchase while disconfirmation paradigm is on satisfaction after purchase. That's all from us. With that, thank you.